For decades, Sean Diddy Combs lived untouchable, a billionaire mogul, a cultural icon, the king of bad boy records. But when the music stopped, the truth came crashing down. The glitz, the money, the fame, all of it couldn't hide what was coming. After years of rumors, lawsuits, and silence, justice finally spoke. 50 months behind bars.
You already know I got to get your take on it, man. And Diddy, he got 50 months in prison. How you feeling about it, man?
Well, since this is going to be my last Art of the Dialogue interview, and the Diddy trial and the Diddy saga is over, like the Gene Deal story ain't bigger as the Diddy trial or the Diddy story. Man, I feel good, man. I feel good way before the sentencing, and I'm gonna feel good way after it. You know what I'm saying? That the sentencing don't have anything to do with how I feel. It just goes me to show that tells me when God puts you in a position and puts you in a place to be involved in something.
After months of federal hearings, leaked footage, and shocking allegations, the sentence finally came down. But for Gene Deal, who once guarded Diddy's life with his own, that number meant something deeper. He believed the system went easy on him, that 50 months was a luxury, not a punishment. With good behavior and camp placement, Diddy could be walking free in less than 2 years.
Before the sentencing, and I'm gonna feel good way after it. You know what I'm saying? That the sentencing don't have anything to do with how I feel. It just goes me to show that tells me when God puts you in a position and puts you in a place to be involved in something, his word ain't never wrong. It is exactly what I said on my show. I said, Diddy gonna end up doing 24 months in prison. The judge gave him 50 months, but you gotta realize he already had 14 months in it, practically, and he's going to get credit for 2 months of that 14 months. That give him 16 months. He's gonna do 24 months, which is gonna give him about 30 months because he only had to do 85% in the feds, and he goes to probably a halfway house.
Gene Deal paints a darker picture, one filled with manipulation, violence, and secrets hidden under fame. He reminds everyone that the charges people saw on TV were only part of the story. Behind closed doors, the judge mentioned relevant conduct, a phrase that quietly points to the crimes never officially charged: the abuse, the threats, the silence money, the hidden tapes. For Gene, that was the real case.
Like a fat rat in a cheese factory. But for a dude like Diddy going to jail and spending all that time, you know, I'm not saying it's going to be rough or nothing like that, because his former president of Bad Boy, Kirk Burrows, with the federal jail. You understand? Lil' Kim with the federal jail. So, you know, because the type of dude he is, you know, he'll make it, he'll be all right. And plus they're going to send him to a camp, bruh. He'll be in somebody camp or somebody dormitory, whereas that it'll be real light for him. So, you know, he'll see the streets back again in 24 months. He'll be out within 2 years. It seems like a lot saying 50 months and everything like that, but it's not really a lot, not at all, bro. It's not a lot at all. You know what I'm saying? I know for executive, somebody who's been a jet setter, somebody who's been going all around the world, been in all kind of, you know, stadiums, galas, and living in mansions.
Deal doesn't hold back. He calls Diddy a puppet master, a man who controlled lives, silenced witnesses, and bought freedom with cash and power. The story, according to him, isn't about fame or music. It's about control. And if Gene is right, then Diddy's real punishment wasn't for what he was convicted of. It was for everything he got away with.
No, it's a lot of people who lived in mansions that's in federal jail. You know, you got Senator Melendez from Jersey in jail. You got a lot of them in jail doing way more time than him. You know what I'm saying? So he'll be All right, man. I think that, uh, he got off like a fat rat in the cheese factory, bro. You know what I'm saying? He got off based on how the judge started the whole sentence. He was talking about coercion. He was talking about relevant conduct. He was talking about, he even said that with Diddy conduct and what he was doing, he should get a sizable sentence or something like that. Like his sentences should be a large sentence. And I think that, 50 months, I don't see that as being large. You know what I'm saying? It's not even a third. I think the third of the guidelines where the probation report said. I think the probation report started at 72 months. So it's almost, what was it? That's like 72 months, 50 months, close to not even a third. It's a little over a third of what the probation report said he should get.
Despite their history, Gene's emotions are complex. He says he doesn't celebrate another man's downfall. But Diddy, he insists, brought this on himself. The betrayal ran deep, from the streets to the studios, from friendships to fear. He remembers the friends they lost, the people hurt along the way, and the lies that built an empire. For Gene, this isn't revenge, it's truth finally catching up.
But it is what it is.
So you feel like he got off? 50 months wasn't enough for you?
Yeah, listen to me, man. What people don't understand is they look at the Mann Act as only being something about prostitution. There's different sections. If you read the Mann Act, it talks about rape. It talks about coercion. It talks about somebody being beaten. It talks about a lot of different things in that Mann Act that gives people a lot of time, because you could get up to, I think, about 135 months for that Mann Act. You understand what I'm saying? You can get up to 135 months. That's close to 10 years, I think, or better. So it's different versions, it's different sections in that whole act based on what they call relevant conduct that you do in that stuff. And Diddy did a lot of shit. He beat people. He drugged people. The judge even said this. You understand? The judge spoke about coercion. And no matter what the what you call them people, the jurors, said and thought and everything like that, the judge spoke about his coercion, his relevant conduct. The judge spoke about, mitigating circumstances, you know what I'm saying? A lot of shit the judge spoke about. Look at here. He got caught with drugs. Never got charged with the drugs. And the judge knew that. That's why the judge said relevant conduct. You understand? He got caught with guns. Guns in the house with the serial number. The judge knew that. You understand? Relevant conduct. You understand? That he didn't get charged.
Inside the courtroom, the drama was unlike anything else. 7 long hours of testimony, apologies, and tears. Gene recalls how Diddy read a letter expressing shame, regret, and nightmares of what he had done. But to him, it sounded rehearsed. A performance meant to save time, not a soul. When the judge finally returned with the sentence, Gene said it was the longest silence he'd ever heard.
If you listen to what his lawyers were saying, based on them speaking for him, the best person that spoke for Diddy was Diddy this day. The best person that spoke for Diddy was Diddy. All that other stuff and all the things that he did and he got away with it, he going at Suge Knight and them with guns. You understand? There was testimony in the trial about that. There was testimony he going to Kid Cudi's house. Allegedly Mike having somebody set his car on fire. Tearing up all his Christmas gifts. Throwing an ashtray, hitting somebody in the head with it. beating Cassie on multiple occasions. There was a lot of stuff that came out in the trial that the judge knew about it. So the judge couldn't just let him walk out of there with nothing. But the judge knew, listen here, bro. The judge knew gave him, well, not gave him, but let him off easy, bro. He got let off easy. And don't get me wrong, bro. I don't want to see a black man in jail. I don't want to see a black man in jail. But I don't care nothing about Diddy going to jail. That's a big difference to me. I never want to see a black man going to jail based on the circumstance, based on the situation, based on he may not have the legal team, because a lot of us get railroaded. You understand what I'm saying? A lot of us get railroaded. So I don't never want to see no black, yo, that's what these cats gonna be saying. Yo, they want to see a nigga. Nah, bro. I fought to keep guys out of jail for 27 years. But do I care about him going to jail? Nah, I don't, bro.
Then there's the family. Gene's tone shifts when he talks about Diddy's children, the pain, the confusion, the broken bonds. He speaks of Quincy, of Kim Porter, of how fame changed love into loyalty and truth into silence. For Gene, the saddest part isn't prison. It's what fame did to the family long before prison walls ever came.
I'm sorry. God just gonna have to take that off my heart. But that's my enemy. He made it clear. He made it clear when he was sending niggas at me, when he was doing shit, when he was setting dudes up, when he was when he cursed Wolf mother out, when he set Wolf up to go at BMF. That nigga became my enemy, bro, as well as I became his. So why should I care? He did a whole lot of shit to a whole lot of people. And now he's paying for it. So all these cats, I guess y'all get y'all visitation rights. Some of y'all can get y'all conjugal visits right with him. I don't give a shit. That's how I feel about it, bro. So his letter to the judge, you understand? I read his letter. You understand? He was talking about how, disgusting, how shameful, how sickening he was, and how what he did to Cassie, he has to dream about that night after night after night after. Come on, man. And I understand you're going to say whatever you got to say to get out of prison. And I don't blame him for that. You understand? Even stuff that I was talking about and people was talking about, he don't know what the fuck he talking about. He admitted to, Mighty, Art, did I tell you that he got hooked on drugs when Kim Porter took that corkscrew and cut his wrist? They even brought that up in the trial. They brought it up today. The defense brought it up today. He brought it up in his letter that he'd been on drugs for 24 years. But then when they brought it up, he didn't say, that's because I tried to beat my baby mama ass and she cut my wrist. They didn't add that to, that's why he had the operation on his wrist. You understand? They left that part out. But that's how he got hooked on those opiates. So now, the letter that he wrote the judge, I guess the judge looked at that because he mentioned it.
Cassie's case opened the floodgates, but according to Gene, it's just the beginning. More voices, more stories, more pain waiting to surface. From luxury penthouses to federal cells, the empire that once ruled music now sits on trial in the public eye. Deal connects the dots. From the women's silence to the men who vanished. He believes this is karma, a circle closing after decades of darkness. The fallen names, Kim Porter, Wolf, Craig Mack, Black Rob, all stand as reminders that every empire built on pain eventually crumbles.
Diddy. Now, I'm like, if he was doing all this positive shit in jail and they was talking about he was all the inmates loved him and they was employing him and doing standing ovation. I wonder what inmate was trying to shake him. Was that one of the Tupac? Was that one of the Tupac fans, or that was one of Biggie fans? Because they said that the guard. They said that in court. One of the lawyers, one of the guards, stopped one of the individuals that was trying to shank him, bro. And that was crazy. Nobody, I never. That didn't leak. Everything leaks from prison, but that didn't leak. Nobody wrote home and said, yo, dudes is in here trying to stab Diddy up. But the lawyers mentioned that today. I want to see if they're going to investigate that right there. You know what I'm saying? And base that, or he probably used that, base that on trying to help Diddy getting into one of those camps or one of those programs that, you know, he ain't got to worry about nothing. And what's crazy is this, he got to worry about something now. You understand? Because he thought he ain't have to worry about nothing because he thought he was going to a speaking engagement. They was that bold enough to be setting up speaking engagements as if he was going to get out of jail. They were saying that he was going to get out of jail. He had speaking engagements set up for Miami. The judge heard that, and I guess the judge was like, whoa, hold up. And then they brought in a guy from reentry who was an ex-prisoner who now he does reentry in Miami. I'm familiar with the reentry programs because we used to use them for the state too. Now, this guy spoke and said that it was more so not like.
And yet, Gene hopes something changes. He says the old Diddy was emotional, human, but the new Diddy became numb, cold, and lost inside power. Maybe prison will change him. Maybe it won't. But one thing is certain. The man who once ruled the world now faces the one thing he couldn't buy: time. For Gene Deal, this isn't revenge. It's relief. After years of silence, he finally said his piece. And for Sean Diddy Combs, once called Brother Love, the road to redemption begins behind bars: 50 months, 2 years, or a lifetime. The price of power always comes due. This was Gene Deal's truth, and Hollywood's silence just got a little louder.
Programs because we used to use them for the state too. Now, this guy spoke and said that it was more so not like a speaking engagement. It was more like a healing session. Hold up, you forgot the funny shit. Yo, they said this dude, one of the lawyers said that Diddy was a civil rights activist now. Can you believe that shit? He said he was a civil rights activist. I was like, they are going for they dropping all the jewels now. They trying to get this mofo out. They don't care what they gotta say, what lies they gotta tell. They on getting his way out, man. And if it was anybody else other than him, I would have been like, yo, get that brother out. When you don't care about your enemies, you don't care about people you don't f with, it didn't make a bit of difference to me. Let him go ahead and look back and see all the shit that he did. You know, and I believe he did, because once those drugs start wearing out his system, once he don't need those opiates no more, if he was off of them, you know, it wasn't no proof. He ain't had no drug tests when he was in prison. You know what I'm saying? Drugs come through all those systems just like anywhere else. So then who's to say that he wasn't on some kind of substance? You know what I'm saying? But and once he got drug free and he's no longer those using those drugs now, he started getting his clarity back of who he may was or who he should have been or what he should have been doing. And maybe he's thinking about all the people that he did wrong to, and he don't have the drugs to